can I ask you, because we haven't been at any press conferences that Ange has had, and for him to start this press conference with, we could do incredible things in the last part of the season, is he courageous or is he delusional? Which one is it?
It's a great question, Steve. I think it's a bit of both. Remember really early on in the season where he was already under pressure. He said, I always win in my second season. Wow. Like, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. And trust me, by the end of this season, I would have brought a trophy here at Tottenham. So I guess we will have to see. And until they are still technically in competitions, he's right. They can finish the season amazingly well and win the treble, for example. Okay, a cup treble, but still a treble. Mm-hmm. But you're right. He's as brave as he sounds. He's also looking like he's in denial himself about what this team right now, who can't be Leicester, who can't be Ipswich, who struggles against pretty much every team in this league, can actually achieve together. And that's the thing. And he also said today in another interview that he did, there's nothing else I can ask of those players. This is not true. You can ask them to defend better. You can set them up in a way that they defend better. Your halftime team talk could be better so they don't start the second half like a pub team, like they did today. So even what he says in the communication, and to be fair, that has been picked up by some of the players anyway, that I think his communication lately has been terrible.
I just remembered there. They couldn't beat Tamworth. They couldn't beat Tamworth. They had to go to extra time. A team that's 6 leagues below them.
Don't ask me.
And he's talking about
hard time knowing where Tamworth is.
He's talking about having an incredible season. No, you answer my question, Jules. He is delusional.
So answer my question, Stevie. With Ange and with the fact that there are these cups still available to him, as Jules just laid out, is that why he's still in the role? And is it right for him to still be in the role because this is what's ahead?
Well, I don't think there's an obvious candidate if you're going to get rid of him. So if that's the case, then there's not really any point in getting rid of him. I think you're just going to upset the apple cart even more. Whilst there's a sliver of possibility, and I mean a sliver, then I guess you keep him there. But again, a large part of that is because there really isn't a real successor, somebody you could go to. So for now, just keep delivering the nonsense that it is.
We're talking about the cup competitions, and Ange Postecoglou is talking about the cup competitions as if these things are going to be positive. You still got to go win the games. Yeah. You still got to advance in these cup competitions in order for them to be this positive experience that is going to somehow make this season significant for them. I would ask you, I would ask anybody for that matter, what is more likely as we watch this team play, for them to win these cup competitions or for them to be potentially in a relegation fight? And that, if you think about it, what's more likely, given what we see from this team, what's more likely? Are they going to advance past Liverpool in the semifinals? Well, I think eventually Liverpool are going to come back and they're going to win that. And so, but is it likely that Spurs lose next week? And now all of a sudden, if there are teams behind them that start winning, then you think, now you're having a different type of conversation. Again, we're assuming that in the cup competitions, they're going to advance and that's going to make it okay. Well, what about the league? Because they keep losing.
The problem, fortunately for them, in terms of the league, you got Southampton,
I know,
Ipswich,
terrible.
Leicester and Wolves.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
So I don't see them getting relegated, but I don't see them winning a tournament.
When it comes to possible candidates, Jules, are there any names that have been floated about?
Not really, but I think we should all remember when Jose Moreno was sacked a few days before playing a League Cup final with Spurs, and I think Ryan Mason took over and was the interim coach. Really, at the time, again, it was very toxic within that dressing room, around the team, around the players. It's not toxic in that same sense now because the players like Ange, and he's a very likable guy. Everybody at the club likes him. And I think there's a lot of people who also recognize the injury issue. Of course, we do. We're not stupid. We understand that it's better if you can play with your strongest 11 than if you play with a bunch of kids and nobody on the bench, etc. Of course, we are. But there's also people within the club who acknowledge, let's put it that way, that there's still a lot of things that this team is not doing right even with all these injuries, there's still quality in some positions, as we saw today. There's still good players, and yet not much changed. We talked a lot on the show about plan A and the absence of a plan B for Ange, because it's just one way of playing, and that's the only way. Whoever is there, whoever is available, not available, it doesn't matter. He plays the whole time the same way, which that I think in itself is something that he needs to address as a coach. We understand having a philosophy, a style of football. We mention it a lot, but there's having a style and not being really realistic about what your team can achieve, and sometimes just a little tweak can make a big difference. And that he's never wanted to do that. So I don't think there is right now a main candidate or somebody who's really outstanding available for it. I think, there was Graham Potter before, who was always linked with whoever was under pressure in the Premier League, but even he has gone to another club in West Ham. So, and I don't think the club right now sees sacking Ange as the right solution and the right option. I think they will probably assess the whole situation at the end of the season. But it's true that the pressure is getting so big, and it's more that he's just not finding a way. And I think, as Stevie often says on the show, as a coach, you need to find answers, solutions, find ways of getting your team out of a bad patch, or if there's a player missing, you adapt your tactic or something to find a way for your team to still be good. All those kind of things that coaches do. Right now, he's clearly not doing it.